Hello everyone, in this video we will be discussing water, its structural aspects and properties, physical and chemical properties. It is a part of chapter hydrogen, class 11. Okay, so please watch the video till the end. The first thing is structure of water. Now, as per the hybridization, we can calculate that hybridization in water, that is on oxygen atom, is sp3. So there are two lone pairs and two bond pairs present in water molecule. So it is V shape. We say it is V shape, or we can also say it is angular molecule, or we can also say it is bent molecule. All that we have done in detail in chemical bond. Okay, now another thing we know, it is polar. It is polar. Why it is polar? The whole water molecule, it has the net dipole moment. The net dipole moment is not equal to 0. How you can explain it? On the basis of the polarity of the bonds. This is one bond, covalent bond. This is another covalent. Oxygen being more electronegative will have tendency to pull electrons toward itself. So this bond dipole moment will be towards oxygen. Another bond moment also will be towards oxygen. So it will have a net resultant dipole moment upward. The net resultant dipole moment is upward, and it is found that the dipole moment of water is 1.84 dBi. So it is not 0, it is a polar molecule. It is having a net resultant dipole moment. Right? Now, another important property of water is hydrogen bond. Now, just let me take the copy up. Now, how it can have the bonds that we can write? This is one water molecule I have drawn. So, the another water molecule, if we are showing, we can have like this. Another water molecule. This is, another water molecule this side. Here you can have the next water molecule. Even this side you can have. Okay, now what I want to explain here is that each water molecule is surrounded by 4 water molecules. This hydrogen of one water molecule can have H bonding with the other water molecule next to it. This H can have next to it. There is one lone pair here. So this lone pair of the electron is having H bonding towards the other hydrogen. So through this it is getting, bonded. Okay, same way here. There are two lone pairs. So this oxygen can be bonded with this H. Second, this O can be bonded here. This O can be bonded here. So what we find is that one water molecule is surrounded by 4 water molecules. So that I have written here. Each water molecule forms hydrogen bonds with 4 other water molecules. Right? So this is important. Okay. So don't think there are 2 hydrogen bonds. So from this side and from this side only it can have H bond. So one water molecule can be, forming 4 hydrogen bonds. It can be surrounded by 4 water molecules. Fine. Now, further, when water freezes to form ice, it forms a cage-like structure. Obviously, in that structure which we have considered, it is not the planar as visible here. It is sp3, means it is definitely a tetrahedral overall geometry where 2 of them are lone pairs. So finally, we are left over with V shape. So they are directed in all directions. That means this will definitely form a cage-like structure. So in between them, if we complete further, here also there will be bonding. Another water molecule will be there. So these are some vacant spaces which are left over. Okay, these are vacant spaces which are left over. And moreover, it is not planar. This is a 3D figure. So the angle here in water is, 104 degrees 5 minutes, 104 degree. That here also we could have mentioned. This angle here is 104 degrees 5 minutes. Okay, so what we wanted to say here is that in ice, it is forming a cage-like structure with some vacant spaces. Therefore, we say density of ice is less than water, than liquid water. That is why whenever we are putting ice on water, it will float. It doesn't sink. Okay, it just floats on water. Now, when ice melts, then what happens? Some of the hydrogen bonds break, and the cage-like structure will collapse and volume will decrease. So cage-like structure means it's keeping them far away. So that collapses means volume decreases. Volume decreases, so density will increase, because density is mass by volume. When it is converting from ice to liquid water, what is happening? Volume is decreasing. The molecules, the bonds are breaking. So volume decreases, density is increasing. And it is seen that above 277, further you go on heating. So what will happen is, above this, the volume will again increase, because it will start, moving still far away. The bonds will further break. It will still move far away. So volume will increase, density will decrease. And it is observed that at 277, density of water is maximum. Okay, at 277 Kelvin, the density of water is maximum. That is 4 degrees Celsius. At 4 degrees Celsius, the density of water is maximum. Please make notes as I am explaining. Now, moving on to the physical properties of water. Okay, now it is observed that freezing point, boiling point, enthalpy of fusion, enthalpy of vaporization, all these properties of water are maximum. So we can say that all these properties from here to here. Why we are talking about this water and all? Because oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, they all belong to the same group. So we are comparing their properties. So we find that all these properties down the group are decreasing. Okay. Now water has maximum of all this. Reason being, it is having the property of intermolecular hydrogen bond. Intermolecular hydrogen bond. Because of hydrogen bond, the molecules are not that free to move away. So, freezing point, boiling point, enthalpy of fusion, vaporization, all will be more than the other members. Okay, normally what we expect is, down the group, size of the molecule increases. Size increases means van der Waals forces are increasing, surface area is increasing. So, we expect it should be increasing. But we find that it is though increasing here, we will say that water is having the maximum. Water will have the maximum, right? General aspect, size increases, surface area increases, van der Waals forces of attraction should be increasing. So all these properties should be increasing down the group. It is increasing. Okay, it is increasing, but water is having exceptionally high. So water will be high because it is having intermolecular H bonding. Got it? Yeah. Another property of water, it has high specific heat, thermal conductivity, surface tension. It is having high dielectric constant. This is its value. And because it is having high dielectric constant, it is a universal solvent. It can dissolve all the ionic compounds in itself. Ionic compounds are soluble in it. Not only ionic compounds, actually speaking, there are certain covalent compounds like glucose, you have sugar, urea. They are all soluble in water. These are all, even alcohol, these are all soluble in water. Reason being, they are soluble in water. For covalent compounds, why they are soluble in water? The reason for that is hydrogen bond. Intermolecular hydrogen bond. Because water can have intermolecular hydrogen bond with these. That is why they are soluble. So because of high dielectric constant value, it is a universal solvent. Of course, all ionic compounds are soluble in water, but apart from that, even some covalent compounds are soluble in water. right? Now we move on to the chemical properties of water. The first one is stability. Okay, now first thing is we say its enthalpy of formation is negative. Any compound which is having more enthalpy of formation, more in the sense more liberated, it is more negative, that means it is stable. Now, because enthalpy of formation is the amount of the heat liberated in formation of a particular compound. So, in formation of water, this much heat is liberated, it is stable. More negative means more stable. Okay, so it doesn't decompose easily. It is very stable at ordinary temperatures and does not decompose readily even on high temperatures. Very high temperature, it will decompose. Slightly high temperatures when we are doing, it will not be decomposing. But we see at high temperature, say around 1500 Kelvin, water can decompose and it will result in the formation of hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, so the extent of decomposition otherwise is not that much, but at high temperatures it does decomposes. Otherwise we say that on electrolysis, when electric current is passed, even then it can decompose into hydrogen and oxygen. Fine? Okay, now we move on to the next property, that is amphoteric nature. Amphoteric nature means it can behave as acid as well as base. Okay, so that we can prove easily by its reaction with this. This we also study in Bronsted-Lowry theory. Okay, so there we say, suppose water is reacting with ammonia or with HCl. When water is reacting with ammonia, one of it has more tendency to give H+. The one which is having more tendency to give H+ will be acting as acid. So in the first case, this is acting as acid, this is acting as a base, this is giving its H+ to it. So when it is giving its H+, it is forming OH-, and because ammonia has accepted its H+, it has formed NH4+. So we say this is acid, and for water, OH- we will say is a conjugate base. It is a conjugate base. Now what is a conjugate base? A base that is formed when an acid loses a proton. When a base accepts the proton. Now ammonia is a base because it has accepted a proton, H+ from water. So ammonia after gaining a proton has formed NH4+. So this is a conjugate acid. It is a conjugate acid of what? Of ammonia. Ammonia has gained proton and formed this. So in the first case, water is acting as acid and ammonia is acting as a base. In the second example, HCl is a stronger acid. It can lose proton to the greater extent than water. So this is losing proton. It will form Cl- and water will be gaining proton and it will result in the formation of hydronium ion. It will form H3O+. Okay, now this is acting as a base here because it has accepted proton. This is acting as acid because it has lost its proton. This has formed Cl- and water has formed H3O+. So we can say this Cl- is a conjugate base of HCl. H3O+ is a conjugate acid of water. So water is having a tendency to lose proton as well as gain proton. So it is amphoteric. It is amphoteric in nature. Okay. Otherwise, suppose we are taking this example. Two water molecules, they can combine. So one water molecule can lose proton and another can gain. So one that is losing will form OH-. The one that is gaining will form H3O+. Okay, so this one water, any one we will write down here because we cannot specify which one has lost or gained. So one is acting as acid. This one will be acting as a conjugate base of that acid. Okay, same with this one has gained. So this is acting as a base and this is acting as a conjugate acid of water. So this particular equation which we are writing here, where water is gaining, water is losing in the first one, this is called as autoprotolysis of water. It is autoprotolysis of water. Means water itself has taken proton from another water molecule. So it is autoprotolysis. From each other, when one is giving, another is taking. Right? Now, we move on to the next property, that water can act as oxidizing as well as reducing agent. So first we are taking those examples where water is acting as an oxidizing agent. Say sodium. Water can react with these metals, or it can react with some non-metals also. With metals like sodium, calcium, with some non-metals like carbon, red hot coke and etc. It can carry out the oxidation. So what is happening here? Sodium plus water, it will form NaOH plus hydrogen. So we can balance it also. We can balance it by putting 2 here. This will be 2 here. 2 this side and 2 here. Now it is balanced. So what has happened here? Say sodium is oxidized to Na plus. Water itself has undergone reduction. From +1 oxidation state, it has formed 0. If steam is passed through red hot coke, it will result in the formation of water gas. It is syngas. It is also called as syngas. In this also, you will find that this is water is acting as an oxidizing agent. You can check the oxidation states here. Carbon here is 0. Carbon here has become +2. Oxygen here, hydrogen. Hydrogen was +1. Oxygen is not undergoing change. This is +1. It has become 0. Same way. This was +1. This has become 0. This is 0. Has become +1. So it is acting as an oxidizing agent, means itself is undergoing reduction. Fine. Okay. Now water as a reducing agent. Suppose we take with electronegative element fluorine, it will form HF plus oxygen. So it has reduced fluorine from 0 to -1, and itself from -2 it has become 0. It has undergone oxidation. Water itself has undergone oxidation, but fluorine is reduced. Now the another equation is the photosynthesis one. It is occurring in the presence of sunlight, and also chlorophyll is required. Okay, and it will result in the formation of C6H12 H2O. We can write that way, CXH2O taken Y times, okay, plus X water. Actually, when you balance it, this is X and this is Y. Okay, so when we are writing, this is the carbohydrate that is obtained. Okay, so this is the general formula written over here. So instead of this, you may also write down glucose, C6H12O6. So basically it is, in X value here is this, and this whole thing is twice. So that is why it is written as Y. It's a balanced equation given this way. Next is hydrolytic reactions. Now, water can also carry out the hydrolysis. So it can hydrolyze oxides, phosphides, hydrides, nitrides, carbides. Okay. Now, in this, H plus and OH minus ions of water, they interact with the anion on cation of whatever it is reacting with and forming either acid or base or some salts. Okay, different cases, different products will be obtained. It's a metal oxide. Metal oxide forms bases. This is acidic oxide. Acidic oxide form acid. This is also acid oxide. Acid oxide will form acid. Okay, this you can balance it. Okay, this I have not balanced. This is normal method. You can use it and balance it also. Now, the next one is hydride. Calcium hydride. Calcium hydride, when you see, it will react and form a base, and it will liberate hydrogen. Earlier in hydrogen part we have done these metal hydrides, they liberate hydrogen. They are inflammable. Okay, so this also you can balance it. And this is calcium carbide. Calcium carbide is reacting and it will form here base, plus it results in the formation of acetylene, C2H2, acetylene. Ethyne. You can also call this as ethyne. Aluminium carbide, it forms a base. Aluminium hydroxide. Apart from that, methane. This forms magnesium hydroxide and ammonia. So it is reacting with either metal oxides, phosphides, hydrides and all, and carrying out their hydrolysis. Now, the last property of water we are doing now, that is hydrate formation. Now, water can form hydrates. The hydrates which it is forming are of three types. One, coordinated water, hydrogen bonded, and another one is interstitial. Now, the first example which is written here is where water molecule has formed dative bond. Water molecule has formed a coordinate covalent bond. This is that example where water molecule forms a coordinate covalent bond with the central element. Okay, so all those examples normally which we write down in this form, the square bracket form. Okay, they are coordinated to the central metal forming a complex. This is that category. Second category is hydrogen bonded. Now here also you'll find a square bracket. No issues. Those water molecules which are written in a square bracket along with the central metal ion, these are coordinated water. But the one that is present outside is hydrogen bonded. This is H bond. This is hydrogen bonded with it. So actually the hydrogen of water gets coordinated, forms a hydrogen bond with the negative part of the anion. The negative part of the anion is that O of sulfate. Okay, so in copper sulfate, this is one in-text question in NCERT given, that in copper sulfate, this formula actually is this, CuSO4.5H2O. So it is asked how many of the water molecules are coordinated or H bonded. So you will write down, out of 5, 4 water molecules are coordinated water molecules and 1 water molecule is hydrogen bonded. The one that is present outside is hydrogen bonded. Now interstitial. Now this is the another form, interstitial form of the water. In this, the water molecule is present in the voids. It is present in the interstitial spaces. In the crystal lattice of some salt, say barium chloride, there will be some spaces. Those spaces are occupied by the water molecule. So water molecule is occupying the voids or the gaps in the crystal lattice. This is interstitial for water. Okay, so this way you can have hydrate in 3 different forms. So please revise whatever we have done today. There few more videos are there for hydrogen chapter which I'll be posting. Please share the videos with your friends so that all get benefited. Thank you for watching.